couple days ago we reached 11,000 subscribers, and in typical fashion I wanted to do something to celebrate yet another milestone. But I wanted to do something a little bit different than usual. I thought it was definitely too soon to do another Spartan rating, and I can't really say I'm in the mood to host another tournament right now. So after an extremely lengthy thought process, I really don't know what to do for this 11k video.
You should do Q&A.
Okay. I've decided we're doing a little Q&A. Now, I announced this a couple days ago via a short, which I uploaded here on YouTube, on Twitter, and on TikTok, where I asked you all to submit a few different questions for me to answer in this upcoming video. There's a plethora of questions about myself, about Halo, about the channel in general, and although I won't be answering every single one of them, I'll try my best to get through as many as possible. Anyways, without wasting any more of your time, let's jump straight in. So starting off, we have a question from The Storm War, who asked me to create a small tier list of the legendary Godzilla movies, or all of them. Now, for the sake of making sure this video isn't too long and that I spend a relatively equal amount on each question, I have just comprised a list of the legendary movies specifically. I have Godzilla vs. Kong at the lowest point here, but that does not mean that I dislike this movie. I'm just not a massive fan of the human characters from this title, and I don't really like the changes they made in Godzilla's personality. Kong Skull Island is next, and I think that is arguably one of the better movies on this list, but it's not necessarily my favourite. I think it's a super enjoyable film though. I really enjoy the human characters, I think the Skullcrawlers were really cool antagonists, and it's just a fun, unique interpretation of the character Kong. I've got GXK next. This one is arguably much worse than Kong Skull Island, but I did enjoy this one more because of course it has Godzilla in the movie. Again, he does kind of maintain some of those traits that I disliked from Godzilla vs. Kong, but I don't think it was as bad here. But I suppose that's up for debate. I really love the addition of Godzilla Evolved. Even if its plot relevance was almost entirely pointless, it does look really cool. And bringing Mothra back was a huge moment for me, and I absolutely love that scene. I've got Godzilla 2014 up next, as it is the one that started the MonsterVerse off, while also bringing Godzilla out of another decade-long hiatus. I remember being so extremely excited for this movie, and the atomic breath scene still gives me chills. I've got King of the Monsters at the top. This is probably not only my favourite Godzilla movie, but one of my favourite movies ever. This movie just did almost everything I wanted to see out of a Godzilla movie. The kaiju fights are spectacular, the burning Godzilla scene is amazing, and I actually enjoyed some of the human-related stuff in this film too. Our next question comes from Unintelligible, and they said, Magpie, Magpie on the wall, which helmet that isn't from Yoroi is the coolest of them all? Now, I've got to say, although I do use yokai to represent the channel and whatnot, it is by no means my favourite helmet. This is something I have spoken about in a couple of videos and on stream before, but to me, nothing really comes close to the Mark 6, and my favourite version of the Mark 6 is probably the one Chief uses in Infinite's campaign. My least favourite version of the Mark 6 is the one from Reach. Across the board, the differences are very, very minimal, but the only reason I don't use this and tend to use helmets like Yokai instead is because I see the Mark 6 as Master Chief's helmet, and when I play the multiplayer, I don't necessarily want to play as Master Chief. I also want to play as my own Spartan because the customization of these games is a big part to me. Creepy and Whatnot has asked who my favourite Halo YouTuber is besides myself. I should really make it clear that I don't think there would be any reality where I am my own favourite Halo YouTuber, but to actually answer the question, I regard a lot of the people that I collab with as some of the best creators in the genre. People that are able to make super engaging and entertaining videos, while also not being reliant on the game itself having new content. When it comes to Halo videos, one of the only things I tend to watch is Machinimas, and I've been lucky enough to find an amazing group of friends who all specialise in that regard. So although I won't be naming any names, I do think there is still a plethora of amazing Halo creators out there. You've just got to look hard enough for them.
Hey Leon, do it fart?
I'm sorry?
Do it fart.
Get out of my house.
But I live here too.
The next question comes from The Tarnished. They said, Hi, I am The Tarnished. What is your favourite armor core from Halo Infinite and why? Thank you. I am The Tarnished. In Infinite specifically, my favourite core is probably the Mark 7. I think it looks incredible, I think it's a really good evolution of the Mark 5B, and it simply just has the most variety in terms of armor pieces that are available for that core. You can pretty much do anything with the Mark 7. It's an extremely versatile piece, and I'm quite glad that it's sort of the face of Halo Infinite. Don't get me wrong, once again, I do love the Yoroi core. I think the Mark 5B is also pretty cool, the Mark 4. Most of the armor in Infinite I'm a huge fan of, but I just think in terms of the sheer variety of what it offers, the Mark 7 is the best. Sip the Mighty asked what my favourite kind of machinima is, and truth be told, I don't really know if I have one. I feel like machinimas tend to come in two flavours. You either have your more long-form story-centric stuff, or you have videos that are more so intended to just be a short joke of sorts. and I find both equally entertaining and equally important. When you're making something more long form, you have the opportunity to craft some really interesting storytelling, whether you want that to be in the realm of Halo or not. In a way, it's almost like a form of filmmaking. But on the other end, you've got some of the stuff akin to, I suppose, what I tend to make, where there's not really a ton of connection between the videos. They are usually just self-contained joke videos. And whenever I tend to be doom scrolling YouTube Shorts or TikTok or whatever else, anytime a Halo Machinima pops up, I do always stop to watch it. Dijion has asked, will I, Dijion, ever appear in another Magpie video? And I guess that depends. Do you want to?
Yeah, sure. I'm game.
D Triforce Films, aka Mellow Yellow, asked me if there was another type of content I'd like to make. Now, outside of my usual Halo stuff, I've of course been uploading a variety of things to the channel anyway. Most recently, of course, I've uploaded a multitude of Marvel Rivals and action figure review type things. And I do want to carry on uploading and creating things in those genres. When I first made my channel over a decade ago, I did of course start off with Halo, but I've always uploaded quite a variety. I used to make really crappy montages of the game Evolved, I don't know if any of you would remember that, and I've done all sorts including Minecraft, Call of Duty, IRL skits, Jurassic World Evolution, and so much more. I usually just upload on things that I'm enjoying, as long as I have an idea of what I want to do for that video. And though I don't intend on stopping making Halo stuff anytime soon, and I've already said I intend to make more action figure reviews and more Marvel Rivals videos, one thing I have been pondering quite a lot lately is maybe making a second channel specifically to make comic dubs. I am of course a pretty huge Spider-Man fan. That is something I've been very open about before. But I of course enjoy Marvel comics in general. I've read a few Godzilla comics, I've read a few Halo comics, so I think it could be a fun little side venture to maybe make a second channel specifically for this type of thing, though I'm still on the fence. Aside from that, the only thing I would like to maybe talk about more in videos is Godzilla stuff, as already mentioned. So far, the closest I've really got is, of course, the tier list earlier on in this video and the Godzilla-related figure reviews that I've made. I'm probably the least inconsistent person on the planet in regards to the videos that I make because I kind of just throw out anything, but I suppose that's what makes making videos fun for me. I don't feel like I'm necessarily confined to one specific thing most of the time, and I'll just make whatever I enjoy making and throw it out there. The viewership of these things really isn't that important as long as I get to make the things that I want to create.
So Magpie, I got a question for you. Can I use your hordes as handlebars?
That Cobalt Spartan has asked what keeps you going and what drives you as a creator. And for me personally, it's just the fact that I enjoy making videos. I have fun talking about my favourite games, or characters, or making machinimas with friends. I simply just keep doing it because I enjoy doing it. And I suppose, as far as I see it, if you don't enjoy making content, then what's the point? SRF King has asked what was my first Halo game and what got me into it. The first Halo game I played, to my knowledge, was Halo 2. At least that is the first Halo game I remember playing, and I was very young at the time. I got into it because of my parents. They've been playing Halo since day one. I used to play Halo 2 split-screen co-op with my uncle quite a lot. That being said, the only thing I vividly remember is on the mission The Arbiter, we would stand on the conveyor belts while fighting the heretics, and just wait until we fell off, and we would just laugh at that constantly. Gamer has asked what my favourite weapon is from the entire Halo universe. I feel like the energy sword has definitely got to be one of them. I mean, it is arguably the most iconic and most recognisable weapon from the series, and what is there to not love about the energy sword? It is amazing. But I'm also a huge fan of the Covenant Carbine, and any game that it's in, it tends to be my preferred choice. I will pick it up any opportunity that I get, and I really hope it's one they bring back in the next game. Our next question comes from Bro Izzy, and they asked how much has your sleep schedule tanked since Infinite came out? My girlfriend actually read this question the other day, and she says that I'm probably the only person that she knows that has a consistent sleep schedule, so if we're being honest, not that much. That being said, of course, when the game did come out, I had quite a few all-nighters. Anyways, next up we have a question from It's Tommy Mate, and they asked why can't you scream properly? Of course, this is in reference to most of the Machinima shorts I make, where I very quietly scream, where it sounds more like an angry whisper. We're talking like this, and the only reason I do this is because I'm not the only person that lives in my house, and I have neighbours, and sometimes I'm recording, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't want people thinking that I'm getting stabbed. Anyways, I hope that summarises that one up.
Hey Magpie, whenever you get done taking a painful shit, do you ever think about that's the size of a dick you could take?
So you can come out here and ask me that, but you can't come out here when I ask you to come and help me record spawn rankings for the 10k video. The next question comes from Captain Dumac, and they asked me for my top 5 Garden of Banban characters, and I need to give specific reasons for my choices. At number 5, I've got Banban himself. He's the star of the show, so he has to be on this top 5 list. At number 4, I've got Ophelia Bird. She's the first one of the, I suppose, Garden of Banban characters that you really get to meet. She's the first monster that pursues you in the game, and for that, she's an absolute icon. For number 3, we have Sheriff Toadster. He's an absolute legend that's helped the player out in many ways. At number 2, I've got Captain Fiddles. He's a little bit nefarious, a little bit short, kind of reminds me of my girlfriend. And at number 1, we've of course got Jumbo Josh, the undisputed MVP of the series. His design, perfect. His character arc, phenomenal. And his fight scenes, absolute cinema.
Do fish live in the ocean or the sea?
I really don't understand how that's a relevant talking point.
Hey man, you wanted questions, but I wanted answers.
There is one question that I've been asked several times by, of course, multiple different people, so rather than responding to it individually, the question was how much money I've spent on Halo Infinite. I did actually try and attempt to record a little machinima part here that, of course, had a multitude of people asking me this question simultaneously, but for some reason the audio on that clip messed up, and it sounds like it's been recorded through a microwave.
How much money have you spent on Halo Infinite?
Perfect.
Money.
But anyways, although I wish I could give a truthful answer to that question, I don't really know. I mean, I've definitely spent my fair share. But that is of course over the past 4 years. It's not exactly like I spent a ton of money in one go. There has never been a point in time where I've spent a ridiculous amount specifically on Infinite. I just occasionally buy what I like in the game, and where possible I try to get my credits for as cheap as I can, whether that be using Microsoft Rewards points or something else. Either way, I'm not going to pretend that I haven't spent a lot of money in this game. I think that is pretty evident, but it's not money that I ever feel like I've wasted. I play this game a lot, and I make videos on this game a lot. So a lot of that armor that I've ended up spending money on gets used in videos. I can use it for thumbnails, I can use it for machinimas, so it allows me to create a bunch of different characters. I also had a little series where I would make Spartans based on your own suggestions, and if not for the amount of armor that I owned, that wouldn't have really been possible.
How much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
What? Morgan Fizz has asked whether or not I would do a COD skit like in Black Ops 3 Zombies. I can't really say it's something I've ever particularly thought about. I have made videos on Call of Duty in the past, but most of these were crappy montage type things. As I mentioned earlier, I used to use the Xbox video editing software that I cannot remember the name of. But given I really do not jive with Activision's usage of AI art, even though I'm fully aware there are some extremely talented game developers that work on that series, it's just a game franchise that I personally rather stay clear of going forward. I mean, there's a 50-50 on whether or not I'll check out the Zombies mode in the next Black Ops game, but I just don't really see myself supporting Activision in any sort of regard. That being said, I'm playing Halo and that's a Microsoft game, and they're not any better, are they? The next question comes from Mental Lose. They asked what my favourite video is that I've ever made, aside from the 10k special. Honestly, I don't even know if the 10k video would have been my favourite regardless, even if I was allowed to include that one. Although it's definitely the most ambitious thing I've ever made. At the same time, there is a lot I would improve, and there was some aspects of it that were incredibly rushed as I really wanted to meet the deadline that I had set for myself. That being said, I don't really know what I'd consider my favourite. I did kind of like the Hayabusa skit I put out the other day that I made with Corbino and Spoopy. The one that was inspired by the second Suicide Squad movie. I just kind of liked the shot composition and the usage of sound effects and everything I put in there. But I don't know, I'd really struggle to pick a favourite amongst the videos that I have made. I suppose a lot of the time I look at it as more so through the lens of what video did I enjoy making the most. But even in that regard, it's still incredibly hard to choose. I did enjoy making the 10k video, but it was also an extremely stressful process. There's a couple of videos I made a few months back, such as my Halo needs more spin-off games video, does Halo Reach need to be forgotten, and Halo's best and forgotten mode, and why it needs to be brought back. These are a few videos that I made that I was pretty proud of, and they were also pretty fun topics to talk about. But as I said, I think I'd find it very, very difficult to choose a favourite out of everything I've made. Crimson Gamer asked if there was a new main character for Halo, who would you want? I know the common sentiment amongst the community seems to be that a lot of people want Jerome to take over the mantle if Master Chief is ever retired or potentially dies in the series. Now, I would love Jerome to be the protagonist of a spin-off game. I absolutely adore the character, but I am also content if he only ever really shows up as maybe a side character in mainline games, and of course as a character in Halo Wars. My personal preferred choice, if there is ever a need for a new main character after Master Chief for mainline Halo titles, would honestly probably be a player-made character akin to Noble 6. but this time maybe being a character that is carried through multiple games. Our own Spartan that really actually makes an impact on the story. And I think that's just because through my eyes there is absolutely no one in the Halo universe that could ever replace Master Chief. Yes, you could argue someone like Jerome is the closest as he is another Spartan too. But him and Chief, they're just not the same character, and I don't think there's ever going to be a character that replaces Master Chief, at least, again, through my eyes. However, I do think customization is a big part of Halo's identity, and it was of course very impactful for Halo Reach. So I think if there's ever a new main character for the main games, I would personally prefer it to be a character of our own making.
If you got the chance, would you impregnate a Sankili?
Stay away from me.
Or an Ungoy, if you got the chance.
KS Carry 3D has asked what made me get into YouTube and making Halo videos. If I'm being honest, it probably originally stemmed from some of my relatives doing the same thing, some of my cousins. I had a few friends in school who were also making their own stuff, and I just kind of wanted to try it out. Just because I thought it would be fun, and of course I do find it enjoyable, hence the reason I'm still doing it a decade later. The reason I was making Halo stuff specifically is because it is my favourite game series. Aside from that though, as I've already mentioned in this video before, I kinda just upload whatever I feel like at the time, as long as I enjoy making said video. Or if I at least believe it's informative to some regard. By that I'm exclusively referring to most of the recent shop videos, though that being said, I don't really suppose there's that much that's informative about those anymore unless there's a new update out. But I don't feel like I'd be at the place I am now if it wasn't for the shop stuff, so here we are. Anyways, Gary Carmine has asked off topic from Halo, however, have you ever played Doom Eternal and what are your thoughts on it? I have played Doom Eternal and it's probably my favourite out of the latest Doom trilogy. I have played all three of those games. I think Doom 2016 has the best aesthetic out of the three, however, but Eternal's gameplay is much more enjoyable, and I think that game released at the perfect time for me. It came out during COVID, so it helped me not lose my sanity immediately, and I played it to death when it released. So for that fact, it kind of holds a special place in my heart. Dark Ages was fine, but it's definitely my least favourite out of the three, which I know is somewhat of a hot take. I don't think the game was bad, I completed it, I enjoyed it, but I'm not really itching to replay it like I was with Eternal. Josh has asked, does it jiggle when you drop it? In-game? Not really, but if we're talking IRL, that's a different story. But unfortunately, one for another time. Our next question comes from Richard WFE, who asked if I will ever collab with Hidden Experia. This has actually already happened, as Hidden made a cameo appearance in my Season 5 retrospective video. Our next question comes from Halobox Studios, who asked how many things are you allergic to? To answer that, too many. Aldhart has asked what my favourite Halo game is. Now, although I love all of them, I struggle to pick between Halo 2 or Halo 3 as my favourite entry in the series. Zaku Williams' question is, so you and all the other Machinima content creators in a 24 marathon stream, when? Let me go ask them. Guys? Where is everyone? Yeah, I don't think they're interested. The final question today comes from SoulSaber123, and it's, what is my dream Halo game? Now, I saved this one for last intentionally, as I'm really not sure how to answer it. Something I love about the Halo series is how each game is unique in its own individual way, and I find it hard to talk about what I want for the next Halo game without just saying I want all of these old features mashed together. Of course, I could say I want a customization system similar to Infinite's, but with the addition of being able to choose our own colours. I'd love the return of a mode like Warzone to really expand on the big team battle formulas. I don't think Infinite's BTB 2.0 really cuts it. I want a campaign that's potentially much more ambitious in scope. I don't really want them to abandon the open world idea, I just want them to do a lot more with it. And as much as I enjoyed Infinite, I also think there's a lot of wasted potential there. The concept of exploring some big vast desert on a Halo ring and then the Banished dropping a scarab on your head, or being hunted through the night by camouflaged elites. I could go on and on about all of the things I'd like to see from my ideal Halo game, but at the same time I know that is something that is completely subjective. Again, something that's always stood out about Halo to me is how none of the games really feel the same. You can look at them and you can see Halo in all of them, yet they all have something that makes them completely different. And really, I don't know what my ideal Halo game would be. I suppose really I want something that is different, but familiar, that's also quite ambitious. But on that note, I think it's time to wrap this video up. Though I would like to ask all of you what your ideal Halo game would be. And if you do have any additional questions for me, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I will try to answer some of them. Not in a video, I will just reply to the comments. Once again, I want to say a massive thank you for 11,000 subscribers. This has been a really fun video to make, so it might be an idea I revisit in the future. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I will catch you all in the next one.